talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more, people talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never share, and no one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out its warning, and the words that it was forming, and the sign said the words on the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence.
Alright, what's going on, everybody? Gonna have to shut this shit. A little loud. Okay, bright as fuck, first thing in the morning, 6:10. Drama time, it's drama time. Today is Sex Magic Day. Completion of that video is taken.
All right, everybody. So, on my last podcast, I already played this drama. So, I'm just going to play this part. And this was for my last video before I recorded the intro that I made on the spot for my last podcast. And I played it on my most recent video. So, what you're about to hear was going to be that. But I didn't put it in this video because you guys have already heard it. So there's no point in me playing those comments again, telling you about the resistance and all that. So this is just a prior little intro before that. So I just want to set that stage. You're not going to hear any drama. And as soon as that's done, it gets into the first part. I recorded about sex magic. Probably about 3 weeks ago now, I recorded this first part. And then you're going to hear from the man Mantak Chia to tell you why it's important to do these sexual practices in specific ways and your age versus whatever, and a little bit about why not to eat red meat and stuff like that. And then after that part, you're going to hear me again for another, 15 to 20 minutes. So that is basically the outline of the show. So without further ado, I'm going to continue the regular schedule programming. Here we go. And once again, thank you to everybody who tunes in. I really do, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate it. And I hope you guys all realize that you guys are all very powerful, and you guys are all part of this God that I like to talk about. We are gods. We are little microcosms to the macrocosm. Therefore, we are, in a sense, God. But we're not the God. We are all part of the main all. And we live on Gaia here. So we're that male energy. And as above, so below, as within, so without, right? So the all that we're a part of is that male energy in the physical realm. In Gaia, this physical world is female, and together we make manifestations that manifest in this reality, is basically another way to look at it. And internally, to get that process to happen, you have to also connect your male mind and get stuff into your female mind. Just like whenever you do ritual, you are in the physical impressing that female mind in Gaia. However you look at it, it's all the as above, so below, as within, so without, as the soul, so the universe, or as the spirit, soul, the soul, however that goes. But yeah, you guys are all that powerful. And everything I talk about here, I'm not talking out my ass. I am telling you from the bottom of my heart how I've done all these things. And you guys can do it too. And I want everybody to know that, because everybody who listens to me, who's been listening to me for a while or just started, I do appreciate it. And all of you have this power within you, and you can all do this stuff. And I want you to. I want everybody to evolve and start doing these practices, because it will change your life. Okay? I've had a rough 2020 was rough for everybody, okay? Rough for everybody. So I'm not going to say I've had the roughest year ever and blah, blah, blah. I try to paint my pain above anybody else's, because I know, even though I had a rough year with the things with my wife that happened and all the stuff with my children and whatever the case is, I mean, technically my son still is not epileptic anymore. And, me and my wife are closer than ever. So everything we've strived through together, we have rised above it. So no matter how bad it is for you right now, it's going to get better. And it's going to keep getting better, especially if you're trying to change. And I'm telling you, if you start this practice, any of these practices, whether it's the sex stuff I'm talking about today, whether it's the magic I talked about last time, from the bottle magic, the candle magic, the just simple sigil magic, whatever it is you want to do, you can do it. And if you start, it will happen for you. No doubt on my mind. But anyways, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to everybody for listening. And yeah, let's get back to it.
Completion of that video is taking place right now. Wait a little bit. I deleted my Mantak chia videos, so I'm downloading them back from my cloud, but since I'm on the road and not at home with my Wi-Fi, it might take a little bit. I want to refresh my memory on exactly what I was going to say that day, or get new ideas. But prior to that, since I haven't shared it on a YouTube video yet, my comments, quite a few comments, so I want to share them. So I'm going to do that. So this is going to be a part that was right before my podcast yesterday. My podcast, I was playing my two newest videos into one whole episode. I have to purchase the next podcast package, because I'm already almost at the limit. I think I have allowed 500 hours of storage, and I was at 489 before yesterday's episode. So yesterday's episode, I don't think it was quite 3 hours, but it was probably at least 2. So I'm at 491. So that means, I can technically do 3 3-hour episodes, or 9 1-hour episodes, or you can figure it out. So very soon, I'm going to have to be going up to the next package, get 5 hours of looking up and whatever, and then more storage, just so I can keep all my archive, basically. But, it is as it is. I don't want to delete my archive yet. not ready to do that yet. Now, technically, they're all on YouTube. All my videos, I think I've done in the past, maybe on YouTube. That keeps me out. But, and so I can technically delete them safely, and then potentially re-record them as I need to, but, you know, I don't want to do that. That seems like a lot of work, whatever. Just so, I have a lot of good, I don't want to say a lot of good beginning stuff, but what I have in the beginning of my shit is my beginning of my transformation as I'm teaching, and I think it's cool for people to see my own transformation while they're learning on how to transform themselves, you know what I mean? Basically, my first beginning videos where I'm talking about whatever I talk about, ceremonial witchcraft, and what I've been doing and who I've learned it from and all that kind of shit. I think it's important for people to see that and see how I've also transformed within this practice that I've been doing and kind of go along with me. But, you know, for some reason I need to redo all those videos. I delete them, and I will, and at least I can still have the YouTube ones for anybody to.
Fuck.
Put them on playlists and keep the playlists, whatever. But anyways, all that aside, this is just the intro. We're telling you guys that
In 10 kilometers, take exit 750 onto County Road 31 toward Winchester.
oh, that fucking bitch. My audio always gets all screwed up for a little bit after she fucking talks. So yeah, so this is just an intro just to talk about what we've been talking about. What you're about to hear. What you're about to hear is going to be a few comments that I got from a individual who I think commented on Thunder Wizard stuff, but I'm not positive because I don't watch the channel anymore. But I'm guessing there's probably something that happened between him and Thunder Wizard. But nonetheless, he asked me a few questions, so I was completely honest with him. And yeah, so let's get into that.
Damn right, you can't stop us now. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Both the negative and positive orbit to you are absorbed. Put that in your mind, then you're abstaining from doing magic without getting. You're making fun of 4-year-olds. Fuck off. Anyways, healing magic. Let's get back into it. I can't talk about healing magic without getting into sexual transmutation, sexual magic. This ties into the microcosmic orbit and how potent the microcosmic orbit is if you have some type of practice that helps you. It's not abstaining from sex, but there's a guideline you can follow by your age. And this is not something I want anybody to do strict and, like, for example, I don't have the actual guidelines at this very second, but I will include it in the video. But according to the man that I learned this from, Mantak, chia, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's awesome, like awesome. It's Robert Sefer, a clip I took from him. He says that, he's the one who brought this stuff to the West, and this stuff is exclusive only for like the high elites of, emperors in China and shit like that. And he's largely to be, thanked and not condemned, well maybe condemned, but given praise for bringing this shit to us. So, yeah, fuck, that looks funny. Anyways, but in this little short video that I'm going to play, what he talks about, he speaks of in your 20s is something like, for a man, they can ejaculate somewhere like 3 to 4 times a week, roughly, he doesn't have the thing with him either. guidelines, but 3 times a week. Men in their 30s is something like 2 times a week. In their 40s, it's once a week. And this doesn't mean you abstain from sex. It means you have sex and you do it a different way. Now, he is also where I learned how, me and my wife call it kinking the hose, okay? I kink my hose. Self-explanatory if you're of age. If you're not of age, you should be able to listen to this. But it's the practice of clenching your bum cheeks, basically. When you do that, it's like the perineum, which would be the esoteric word, but maybe the towel or the key word, the chi word. But when you clench that and you get practicing doing that, whenever you're getting ready to ejaculate, it stops it from happening and you continue going. And there's a way for a man to get pleasure without actually ejaculating after they practice this for so much. But that being said, even if you reach that, you still are able to ejaculate twice if you're in your 30s, once if you're in your 40s. This is a week, right? So it's still a long time a year. But if you do more than these guidelines, you're depleting yourself. But you still have to do the bare minimum, because what happens is when you do that, the cells also have orgasm and give birth to new cells. Basically, the way your cells and your DNA works is whenever, these are his words, I'm just kind of stating it first, so you're like, what the hell, that's crazy. But then you'll hear from him and you might be more likely to take it. And he's wrote the books on qi-gong, and kunji, and this guy's wrote all this stuff. The most popular stuff that there is out there is written by this man. So before you say I'm crazy, this is where I get my information. This is where I do my practices from. I add it to my Kabbalah and Great Work of Cell Transformation work. This is added to it because I've realized that, through ceremonial magic, you end up doing the same practices. Like you do the breath work that will help to raise Kundalini and get you going through your chakras. You also do different types of breath work that'll start igniting the pranayama. And then through that, you start doing, that's how they achieve it. But then doing things like the middle pillar is almost a version of the microcosmic orbit with just less energy centers. But me, I took it a step further and started doing the microcosmic orbit as well. So I'm hitting it even stronger. But I think I'd still hit everything throughout my curriculum. I would still be managing to hit everything properly that I should be, to be a well-balanced initiate into, a bunch of different schools. But nonetheless, I've learned a lot from this man here, and, what is said, what he says in this is very important. And then after this, if I have time, if I haven't made it too long of a video, there's another initiate who's of German descent who talks about the Zohar and Kabbalah and the Jewish books and what a word used to mean. It's a word for thief, okay, and stealing, meaning, but it's not stealing in the sense of stealing money from other people, taking someone's life, stealing someone's riches or wife or something like that. It's stealing your own energy from yourself. And it has to do with the Garden of Eden, how we were allowed to touch the apple, and that is a representation of, it's almost the same thing Mantak, chia is talking about. You're allowed to have sex, but eating the apple is forbidden. And strip the religious content out of that, but we're basically saying the same thing. So I'm going to play those two things for you, one, and then speak about one, and then play the other one for you. So, but this has to do with healing, because there could be a lot of things going wrong in your life if you are not releasing sexual energy or releasing too much. And there's a lot of little simple things you can do. Now, some of them may not be that simple, depending on how often you have sex and stuff like that. But the techniques are very small little things. You just have to slowly practice. Little simple things you can do. Now, some of them may not be that simple, depending on how often you have sex and stuff like that. But the techniques are very small little things. You just have to slowly practice, and it wouldn't take long at all for you to feel healthier. And, you know, once you get these things in your subconscious through the rest for you, like I said, I don't even have to watch what time of the month it is for me anymore. When the moon enters my sun sign, there's always a circumstance that happens that doesn't allow me to even have sex during this period of time. That's for a whole different reason, but for the most part, this is the reason that I have a healthy sex life. Let's just say that, but I don't always ejaculate, and this is the reason, is to keep myself younger, to keep my cells doing what's proper, on top of my correct breathing, on top of the correct pH, and putting electrolytes in my body, on top of the exercise, on top of the correct food, on top of, you know, my spiritual and development, and going through my belief systems, and trying to slowly get into my unconscious and release the things that I, you know, because I'm doing this kind of self-taught thing, and, you know, pros and cons to everything, right? So I can't always do this fast, because if I do it too fast, it can be very dangerous. So, but on top of all that, this is another aspect of it. So it's healing magic nonetheless, and it's also going to teach you how to do your sexual magic, because I said it before, sexual energy is one of the most powerful energy, if not the most powerful energy, and Mantak chi-gong makes that argument for me here, because sexual energy, the act of sex, creates people, creates babies. It's like, you know, you can create the internet and rockets and all that shit all you want, but you can't, and that's like one man inventing things, but then it's multiple people putting things together, but it's one main person's invention, right, or a few people's ideas. Whereas the act of sex is man and woman. I mean, it can be two men, two women, but when it comes to creating life, there's nothing that can be done like this. You know, we can clone and whatever else, and we're getting really better at doing things and steps like that, but nonetheless, we are gods, we are the creator when we are doing that. So if you are 30 like myself, well, I'm 30, I'm going to be 35, but if you're only able to ejaculate twice a week, well, if you do it properly, let's say there's something you want to manifest, you create a sigil, or you just have a candle with your intent on it, it's burning, and, you know, the first 2 days of the week, you sleep with your wife, but you don't ejaculate. But whenever you get close, you do the clenching technique, and you stop yourself and you stare at, you have something that's your focal point, where you put all that energy into that spot. And then on the third day, it's your day you're allowed to ejaculate. Once again, you do that, and then boom, you focus all the energy at that moment, right at that spot. And tell me, that shit will fucking manifest pretty fast. So, just a little FYI.
Underlying natural order of the universe. It cannot be grasped as a concept, and is therefore eternally nameless. In Taoism, the object of spiritual practice is to harmonize one's will with nature, or become one with the Tao. This involves meditative and moral practices in order to achieve effortless action.
I remember once I was looking in the open air, and one of those glorious little thistledown things came, and I picked it up like that and brought it down, and it looked as if it was struggling to get away, just as if you caught an insect by one leg, like a daddy long legs or something of that kind. It seemed to be struggling to get away, and I thought, well, it's not doing that. That's just the wind blowing. But then I thought again, really? Only the wind blowing? Surely it is the structure of this thing which, in cooperation with the existence of wind, enables it to move like an animal, but using the wind's effort, not its own. It is more intelligent being than an insect, in a way, because an insect uses effort. Like a person who rows a boat uses effort, but the man who puts up a sail is using magic. He lets nature do it for him with the intelligence to use a sail, see? Now that is the most highly skillful art of all. That is Taoism in perfection.
A central tenet in most varieties of Taoism is that the Tao is ever present, but must be manifested, cultivated, and or perfected in order to be realized. There is no exterior deity to be worshipped. So what are some of the ancient Taoist techniques that one can perform in order to work with nature, to work with one's own biology, in order to effortlessly gain physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual vitality? Let us listen to Grandmaster Mantak Chia, an expert in Taoist philosophy and one of the few, if not the first, to publicly disclose detailed instructions with the West, which for many millennia were guarded secrets used exclusively by emperors, high priests, pharaohs, and other nobility and elite.
One of the Tao practice involved with the inner alchemy, we call the sexual inner alchemy practice. And most people know about sexual energy because we come from sex. And the whole life that we are, we involved with sex, or loving sex. So the Tao practice divides into few sectional practice we call a physical part. I mean, how to strengthening the sexual organ. And the energy part is how the sexual organ transforms to be a sexual energy. And how the sexual energy transforms into chi. And finally, how the sexual energy transforms into chi and transforms into the spiritual energy to feed the soul and spirit. Because the whole thing about the Tao sexual practice is sexual energy is the only most powerful energy that can transform it and feed into the soul and spirit. Sometimes we call them baby food formula. So without the sexual energy transform it, you cannot raise the soul and spirit. So we always look at the soul and spirit like an infant. When they come to us, like a baby, like a child. And if people don't grow them, they will remain like a child. And when people with no purpose come to this life, when they left, they know the soul never grow, never educated, so they will end up with living the world like a child. So the Tao practice is very simple that first know your sexual energy and strengthening them, because the soul and spirit come to this world only that because we have a physical. The physical can produce energy, we call chi. And the sexual organ is a material. We call the organ, sexual organ like material. But one of these, you can transform the sexual organ into sexual energy, and that's immaterial. So with the immaterial is the link between the soul and the spirit. So when with no chi, no sexual energy, the soul and spirit have no link. So now they have link to the soul and spirit, and they feed them. So in the Tao practice, there are many exercises, very important exercise. So the whole thing is you have to know that material can change immaterial. So in a normal way of thinking is that when the sexual organ producing sperm and egg, so it becomes material. Material producing material. So what we can do? We cannot do anything. All we have to do is drain them out or dump them out. So man is ejaculation out. Woman turn to be menstruation and lose a lot of blood to it. So in the Tao said, if we don't understand how to practice that, we are keep on losing our sexual energy every day. Okay? And this is the biggest waste in our life. Why? Because sexual energy is the most important for, number one, have the healing power. Why? Because sexual energy creating us. So sexual energy, we're regarding them as a commander on the top. It commanding the embryo cells. It commanding the stem cell. And we know the stem cell creating can repair anything we want. So without the sexual energy, the stem cell don't work because they have to receive the commander on the top to keep them in order, plus the melatonin at night together, they get the order and they do the job. Cell have to be listen to the order. If they don't get the order, they don't know what to do. So that's why the strengthening the sexual organ is very important. And the simple practice is creating the fire. So men like fire and women like water. So in the Tao practice, we said women, so they are reverse the process. Women should have many orgasm and ejaculations. Okay. Men, because it's water and fluid, and women producing egg in once a month. A man can producing a lot of sperm every day ejaculation now. So it's taking a lot of energy. So we only know that the monk, the nun, the priest, they have to conserve the sexual energy because they want to convert this energy into the spiritual energy connecting to God. So without the sexual energy, there's no link to connect. But if you don't strengthening your sexual organs, you also have no enough energy to transform it into a higher. So the sexual energy can use for healing. The sexual energy can use for. So the sexual energy can use for healing. The sexual energy can use for strengthening. The sexual energy can use for creating power. When in the spring training, they cannot take girlfriend into the camp. And also training also, because they need to conserve the sexual energy in order to transform to strength and power. So that's why, so the simple part of the Tao practice is how can you separate orgasm and ejaculation out. So that is the man have to be really learn how to. So a simple thing is the mind power and the muscle control. So the one exercise that the man can really strengthening immediately is so simple. It's tightening your Mantak. And I think that is, I don't know, the English invent that word or not, we call tightening your ass. I don't know that. But in the Tao practice, when you're strengthening your Mantak, tightening up and tightening up, that means if you tighten this one 100 times a day, that's it, 100 times a day. And in a few, if you're doing a few months, a few weeks, you started to learn how to control ejaculation. So why the men need to control ejaculation? Because you don't have to ejaculate every time. That's the most important part. And so there are a timetable, how old you are, how many times you should be ejaculation a week. And later on, it's between the age you go up. So you can have, if you enjoy life, enjoy sex, enjoy love, because loving energy and orgasm energy is the one that make the cell split, make the DNA split. So they have to study that DNA renewal need orgasm and love. That's why we have love. When we feel love and feel orgasm, they say when we make love, the DNA also make love and is split. The DNA renewal happen every second. When you slow down, we get old. When you slow down, we get sick. And when it don't split anymore, we finish. But the process is always depending on the orgasm and love. So when we make love, the DNA also make love. And it split and you get the new cells. That's why when you're practicing love and feel the arousal orgasm, you have more energy. Jing. So in the Tao Chinese we say Jing, Qi means the sexual energy. But the sexual energy comes from the sexual organ. the sperm and egg, if we dump them all out, we don't have that energy. So that's why in the sexual practice, we always talk about a different way of orgasm for women. So you have the clitoris ejaculation, you have the G-spot, or we call secret spot, and you have the uterus orgasm. The uterus orgasm now more and more, but the Taoism they know it many thousand years. And now the West discovered that uterus orgasm is very important, but it's very difficult because you have to understand the anatomy in order to get the uterus orgasm for women. Because if you don't activate the clitoris enough, and you don't activate the secret spot enough, the uterus spot back on the epicenter will not open. So all the women, we call women very mysterious. So all the secret spot is hiding. So it's not there until you get it ready and the lady is not open. So that's why the uterus, the lady can train how to contract it. Okay. So in this one, so you massage the breast and you contract the perineum anus, and you think the uterus contracting, because that's how when the lady gets orgasm, the uterus contract and release, contract, release. Men also, when you massage testicle and you do the tightening this, you have a lot of chi come back. So you have more fire. So making love in man and woman we call water and fire. So if we have, when men have lesser fire and women have icy cold vagina, so if you try to boil a water, it takes a long time to boil with a very little fire and very cold water. So if you make the breast warm, the uterus have chi. When man and woman make love, you have more energy. Otherwise, it become too cold, and eventually you lost interest. And so that's why the man and woman lost interest, because men have lesser fire, and women, all the sexual organ become too cold. So when you learn how to massage and exercise, then you have more chi in the sexual organ.
Could you explain the difference for men between orgasm and ejaculation?
Yes, it's very important because usually we don't experience that. We don't know. So when we get very close, very good, very highly arousal, orgasm, very highly orgasm, and you want more. But there's no more. Okay, so we call a very genital orgasm, very short and very limited. So the orgasm right here, and it's go to ejaculation. So we experience orgasm, and you want more orgasm, then no more. Okay, so you jump right into the orgasm. So now, when you learn very simple, when you feel very highly arousal, when you feel very highly orgasm, you stop for a moment, feel it. Okay. So sometimes we said you go up to be 90, 95, 94, 96, 97%. You think I get close. So if you never train it, you go so close, then ejaculation finish. Okay. So men, when ejaculation, we said you dump out all your sperm out, and the body need to build up, and the sperm is the essence. So the Chinese write the sperm in jing, the life essence. And how important is the life essence? Because it builds a whole human. And how important? It's very smart human come out from this sperm and egg. So it's very important. So man build up about what we say 50 million, 100 million. If you're young and healthy, can be 150 million sperm. It's a lot. So there's a lot of energy into it. Now, in the moment of ejaculation, if you rest and you can feel that orgasm started to expand. Okay. So, but if you train the prostate gland and you train the buttock contracting, you started to have the idea to control it. And the mind power is the most important part. So the Tao said if you one time stop ejaculations, the mind power double increasing. That's how much power you get. It is 2 times. So in the list that we're talking about, 1 time, what benefit to you? 2 times, 3 times. So the 10 time, you're talking about, they said when
In 10 kilometers, turn left onto Snake Island Road.
make love and no ejaculation, you can talk to God. Above increasing. That's how much power you get. It is 2 times. So in the list that we're talking about, 1 time, what benefit to you? 2 times, 3 times. So the 10 time, you're talking about, they said when you can hold and not ejaculation, make love and no ejaculation, you can talk to God. That's what the priest they discovered actually. So when they have sex with their wife, before that the priest can marry. And they discover when they have sex, God don't want to talk to them. Next day you go to the temple, God don't want to talk to you. So they become a rule. When the priests have sex, they have to stay away from the temple 1 week because they cannot go into the temple anymore. So later on they say, okay, if I want to talk to God every day, I don't marry better. So they become no married because when they don't lose sexual energy, they can talk to God all the time. So that's why ejaculation and orgasm, you have to split them out. And it's not difficult. If only that when you get closer, in the beginning, it's a little bit difficult because in the olden time, when you get closer, you faster, so fast, ejaculate finish. And you get tired, exhausted, turn over, thank you, honey, and go to sleep. You know, but you lose a lot of energy that way. Now, extended orgasm, because as we talk about orgasm and love is the very important part to make the cell split. That's all. So if the normal, very fast orgasm, very fast have sex and ejaculation, you don't spend enough time to build up your orgasm. So we call a genital orgasm. Very short. And you say, oh my God, I want more. It's no more. And every time you go on ejaculation, you have lesser orgasm because you don't have no more. You drain them all out and you have no more. But when the first time you hold, there's a lot of process you need to know because when you hold up the ejaculation, you have too much energy back, and you have to crazy. We have too much energy. So when I make love, I have so much energy. And I cannot sleep. The only one way I get up and write book. So I write 40 books now. And now we're publishing with in the tradition 38 book, and there's more. So it gives you a lot of creating power and a lot of energy to do things. That's how so not difficult. When you get close to ejaculation, you think, hey, I'm going to come. I'm going to ejaculation. You rest. Lightly contract the prostaglandin and Mantak, and you rest. That's it. Now, when you rest, you started to feel that orgasm expanding, but not ejaculation. You see? And when you get control, you go on again. So your orgasm expanding more, but you also get dangerous to close to ejaculation. So the Tao text they call, don't go beyond of the point of no return. That's very important. When you go to the point of no return, your ejaculation, that's it. You start over again next time. So when you practice for a while, you feel the length, the gap between the orgasm and ejaculation is bigger. And the orgasm get higher beyond you have orgasm before. So from here, ejaculation. But now when you lengthen this one out, this orgasm come out. So the Tao separate them to kidney orgasm, liver orgasm, heart orgasm, lung orgasm, brain orgasm. It really feel the orgasm come up to the brain and it's opening you up. So you have expanding orgasm rather than limited orgasm. So the orgasm before is what? A few seconds. And you feel good, and finish. But in this way, your orgasm bigger, wider, and they multiply. So we call a total body orgasm. And later on, you go to what we call by cosmic orgasm. You expand your orgasm to the universe. And that's what the whole universe is, the energy, sexual energy come together, creating the whole universe. Okay. That's what you learn. One, not difficult. One, you have to talk to your partner, and when you stop for a moment, and you get control, and you feel the orgasm expand. That's all. And you train from that gap. Expand. And talk to your partner, and when you stop for a moment, and you get control, and you feel the orgasm expand. That's all. And you train from that gap. Expand. And now there are timing. If you do in the beginning, you do 2 or 3 times non-ejaculation. Up to 4 or 5 times is too much energy. Ejaculation. So in the Tao practice, they have few theory. Okay, but monk or nun, no ejaculation, no, and try to have no sex. That is why they want to conserve and transform sexual energy. But in the Tao way, I like it because if everybody become monk, maybe you can control the population easier. So try it out. So amazing, simple, but it's so amazing practice. And you don't believe it. If you're looking for more energy, this is the energy that you're gonna get. You don't get any extra energy from anywhere. Believe me. The sexual energy is the extra energy that you have. Sexual energy you need to transform every day.
Every day. Now going back to separating ejaculation from orgasm, if, let's say, with your partner, you're spending time, you've got a multi-orgasmic experience, right?
Yes.
Should you still ejaculate at the end or no?
Depending on the people, okay? There are certain timing. For example,
yes, you said frequency for different ages.
Yes, frequency. Like for the example, the younger people, we said they can ejaculation maybe about 4 or 6 days a week.
I see.
It's 30 years old. You multiply them, so it's about 1 or 2 weeks.
So you should only ejaculate if you're 40 years old, only every week or every 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you can still engage in sexual intercourse, but try and prevent ejaculation.
Yeah. Don't have to ejaculate every time.
Yes.
And try to have extended orgasm.
Yes, even when you ejaculate.
Right. So if you have extended orgasm many times, you harvest all the sexual energy back. And when you ejaculation, you lose much less energy than a normal way. It's just like the sperm producing egg. Mm-hmm. The sperm producing the energy. So when the sperm producing energy and you stop and you harvest them, and you rest, you exchange energy, hugging, and chain energy. When you go to one level, when you feel that you get in control, you go again. You go again, and you started to have, when you feel orgasm, and you extend it and multiply it, and you bring them up. It's just like the chicken. You don't kill them; they lay egg for you every day. The hen, okay. But if you eat the hen, tomorrow you have no more egg.
Sure.
Yeah.
What about food? Are you a vegetarian? Do you eat meat or what?
I'm not vegetarian.
Okay.
And I eat mostly like in the Tao garden. We said, okay, we like to have mostly like chicken, a smaller animal, and the fish.
Why smaller animal?
Because we believe that when the bigger animal, they have more, like cow, they have more chakras, like human. And they have one important chakras we call fear. Fear chakras, the fear energy.
Yes.
That is the lower center. Okay, there are a lot of fear. And when in the moment of death, they're creating a lot of fear hormone.
It's bad.
And bad for the thing. But the smaller one, they don't creating that much. And the fish, they don't have the fear chakras. The smaller animal, And like the fish, they don't have energy center that much. They are only 3, and they have no fear chakras, the fear center. So when they have no fear center, they don't accumulate a lot of we call fear toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big animal like cow, when you kill them, they cry a lot. Yeah.
Sure.
And they really cry. They know that they're gonna die, but they don't know what to do. And they just so during their fear, they're creating a lot of toxic, and they're big, and they can creating a lot of impact in the body.
Aging. What do you think are the major factors of aging? Obviously, sleeping is important in terms of
Aging is number 1. Excess ejaculation. Number 2 is not sleep enough that the body cannot repair, and not enough hormone. Sexual hormone is the one that rebuild the body, together with the melatonin, the sexual hormone, and give a command to the sex cell to the stem cell to repair it.
Do you really think that too much ejaculation can cause increased accelerated aging?
Yeah, that is the major one. So if you hold the ejaculation for lesser ejaculation, immediately you get longer life.
But is there another extreme? If you don't ejaculate at all, it's also unhealthy, right? So
you have to transform it.
You have to transform it. So that's
the
key.
The monk and nun, they don't live long because they have no sex.
Right. So you have to still there's a frequency that you're saying for every age.
Yes.
It's the correct balance.
Right.
For the amount of ejaculating that you should do, and by sticking to that frequency.
Like they said, like I remember, after 60 you should be no ejaculation, or you healthy like me, once a month. That's good.
Once a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you still can have sex every day if you want.
Okay, let's see if this will work this time. Fucking shit. Alright. So, you just heard Mantak, chia. Oh, fuck, I hate pronouncing his name. I'm always worried about, not pronouncing it right and shit like that, but, it is as it is. Anyways, so, the man, the legend, so you heard what he said. A lot of interesting things there. I like his take on meat at the very end when he said how he's not vegetarian, or vegan, or anything like that.
Food. Are you a vegetarian? Do you eat meat or what?
I'm not vegetarian.
Okay.
And I eat mostly like in the Tao Garden. We said, okay, we like to have mostly like chicken, a smaller animal, and the fish.
Why smaller animal?
Because we believe that when the bigger animal, they have more. Like cow, they have more chakras, like human. And they have one important chakras we call fear. Fear chakras, the fear energy.
Yes.
That is the lower center. Okay, there are a lot of fear. And when in the moment of death, they're creating a lot of fear hormone.
It's bad.
And it's bad for the thing. But the smaller one, they don't creating that much. And the fish, they don't have the fear chakras. The smaller animal, like the fish, they don't have energy center that much. They are only 3, and they have no fear chakras, the fear center. So when they have no fear center, they don't accumulate a lot of we call fear toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big animal like cow, when you kill them, they cry a lot. Yeah.
Sure.
And they really cry. They know that they're gonna die, but they don't know what to do. And they just so during their fear, they're creating a lot of toxic.
But he does stick to fish and chicken, which is interesting because they don't have the chakra that would experience fear, whereas a cow does. The cow feels it and is scared, and we intake that fear. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting. So for anybody out there who's eating meat, who's kind of felt bad or wasn't sure what to do, well, there's a little more information that you can go look up to see is accurate or not. I don't know, coming from this dude, I mean, he's fucking brought qi-gong, qi-gong, whatever you want to call it, he brought that to us, to the West. It's the reason we know that shit is because of this man. So, to say that that's full of shit, it's like, well, does that mean everything he says is full of shit? No, well, I want to pick and choose because I want to keep eating meat. Well,
So, for somebody like me who hasn't been eating meat, who has sometimes a hard time when I smell meat to like, oh man, I kind of crave it. If I start eating chicken and fish again, it might not be so bad. I could find some balance because I haven't eaten meat in like a few years. Then it wouldn't be so hard for me to just slowly start. I'm not saying I want to, because my sacrifice of not eating meat is to help the animals that are, all animals that, are being killed. The amount of animals, by me not eating for the last fucking 3-4 years now, I think it's been 3 or 4 years, something like that. The amount of animals I've saved by just not eating them is phenomenal. You know what I mean? Not consuming that life. So, to me, that alone is just, it is what it is. It'd be different in my mind if, I knew where they were coming from, if they were treated right and all that. But anyways, it's not what this is about, okay? Because I don't want to piss people off, this whole meat debate and all that. I just thought that was an interesting thing. I just wanted to bring it to your attention in case you didn't hear it. But nonetheless, the main things to focus on here is what he said. Now, depending on your age group, if you're in your fucking 20s, it's like 4 times a week you're allowed to have sex, maybe even 5. If you're in your 30s, it's 2. But, if you have to start at 3 or 4 and then reduce it once you get better at that technique. Truth be told, I don't always just go, I don't go by that, okay? But I know this. And the weeks that I don't, because, it depends, man. If my wife's on a period, then obviously I'm not going to come at all that week, right? So I don't have to waste an orgasm. Then it doesn't mean I still can't pleasure her or pleasure myself and practice this technique. But for the most part, if that 1 week I don't go at all, the week after that I could do 3 times, because there's 2 times in that 1 week that I have to do. And the other 2 weeks it could be 2 times. Do you see what I mean? That's my logic right there. So that's kind of what I go by. But if for some reason I'm doing it and I can't hold back, well, then I release. It's simple as that. I'm not going to not release because of this energy. But knowing this, I do everything I can. And I got fairly good at what I call kicking the hose, which is just like, kick the hose so the fucking finger doesn't spray out. When I squeeze my butt cheeks, that's what happens, right? Among many other techniques, but that's one of the easiest ones. If you master it makes me feel weird when I do it, I'm not gonna lie. But if you master that, it's fairly simple, and it helps. Just the thought of stopping and clenching your cheeks while having sex sometimes is enough to get you to not, you know what I mean? I don't know. But nonetheless, when this comes to doing magic, I played something from Birch a while ago, and he said, if you're doing sex magic, okay, and you're able to stop, and then, if you have a sigil, a candle with a sigil on, or just a sigil in your room somewhere, okay, and it's in somewhere where you can look at it, where you don't have to turn your head or something like that, where your things are fucked, which you can be like, what are you looking at? Oh, I couldn't look at you because you're so damn sexy, and it made me go, She might think that's a compliment, it might turn her on and all that, so it might work for you. But, nonetheless, have it to your sides, you know what I mean? Somewhere where you can see it. Maybe she doesn't know it's there, you turn off the lights, but you put it there right before you do it. It doesn't matter. Figure that shit out. But where it's in your line of sight, where you can easily look at it. But if you're able to stop, and then you focus your energy on that, okay, and you keep going, and her sexual energy's up through the roof, and you just made her come, and then, she goes again, and then, you hold it in, and okay, you go one more time, and then she's fucking, okay, I can't do anymore. Well, then you have the choice to either quit, and, you put enough energy and force in there, because every time you were climaxed, and you almost did it, but stopped yourself, that's still sexual energy. I'm here to tell you, that's something I haven't said before, because the easiest way to get something in your subconscious mind is just to let it go, and then boom, it's like a little death, and it gets shot right in your subconscious mind. And, but what he's saying is if you have sex and you squirt within minutes, within seconds, maybe even under 10 minutes, I don't know what the guideline is, but if you're having these fast, I can't think of the word, ejaculations, there it is. If you're having fast ejaculations, well, you are not doing that cell growth and cell splitting and cells making love and all that, what it says. So basically what it says is, by you getting the girl, getting her clit and her G-spot, I never even knew there was a uterus orgasm until recently, I don't know, a few months ago when I started looking into this and I thought about making this video, and I re-listened to it, holy fuck. But I'm not going to say I get my wife to do that all the time, but there's just, you can just tell. I know my wife's clit orgasm, okay? And then I know her G-spot orgasm. And she has this other one where she's just out. Like, she just fucking can't stop smacking me, ripping me, just fucking, legs are vibrating, and she can't do nothing after. Comatose, you know what I mean? To me, that's probably that uterus one. Now, do I hit that every time? Well, no. But you fucking try. But sometimes after just her doing her clit one, it's just too sensitive, you know? And depending on the position and all that. So, you know, there's only so much you can do. And with her not being into this and me wanting to be like, babe, I want to give you these 3 orgasms every time we fuck for your own health and all this other shit, but I want to do that, you know, without having that conversation with her. It's hard for me to do that, but I'm going to try every single time. That being said, same thing with the man, with us. If you want to promote good healing in your body, if you are going to ejaculate, and this is what I gather from this, if you are going to ejaculate, you need to prolong it as long as you can. Because the more you get your testicles involved, the more massages that you do it yourself, when you're jerking off, whatever the case is, then you get more things involved, and you know it's more of the love process. Therefore, there's something there. But whenever you are able to prolong your ejaculation, it feels better. It straight up does. And I mean, this is not just me talking out my ass. Like, I do this every time, my wife, okay? Now, sometimes I don't have to literally clench my ass cheeks, but like, I'm almost there, and then I decide to switch positions, and I'm able to just completely ignore the fact that I was about to go. You know what I mean? And then sometimes I get up, I take it out, and then, you know, whatever, I start eating her out just to get my mind off it. These things will work too, if you can, you know, that is because, I mean, that turns me on to do that to her. But nonetheless, you get to the point where it's like, as soon as I take that out, it's okay. I'm okay. Think of something else, or maybe I try clenching my ass cheeks if it's too intense, and then I'm good to go. And it just puts her pleasure through the roof. The more she's pleasured, the better for everybody. That's just common sense. And I mean, sometimes by pleasuring them and not worrying about having to, you know, what if I go too fast? What if I go too fast? Without worrying about that, you just start pleasuring them, and you see they're having nerves, you know what I mean? It's enough to get you to be, oh, yeah? You like that? Fuck yeah, I'll fucking keep making you fucking go, and blah, 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 blah. You just fucking keep hammering her, and you're forgetting all about the fact that you might go too soon. And then by the time it's your turn, it's like she can't take it anymore. She's just tapped out, and she's just like, can't believe how great in bed you are, you know what I mean? And you're feeling it everywhere. Like, I mean, I wish I could get my wife on here to talk about it, but every time that we have it, like, it started about after all this bullshit happened, me and her and this whole other guy situation. So in July, when we started having sex all the time after all this, because I was feeling very insecure. So if we were having sex every night, I thought, like, oh my God, you're talking to this guy again. Like, that's how fucking bitch baby boy I was, you know, for a while, because I was feeling very insecure because she was speaking to another man after all, right? But nonetheless, we started having sex every single day. Now I wasn't coming every day, but this is when it got so amplified for me, because I was actually doing it because I wanted to, because I loved her, because I wanted to please her. I was reading all this stuff. I went back and looked at this shit. And this is not when I found out about that uterus thing, but it's a whole body buzz, man. I don't know how to explain it. And I told her, and she looked at me like I was fucking crazy. But I'm like, I don't know, that's how it is for you, babe. But like lately when we do it, it's like I'm telling her I'm about to, right? I'm about to. And then it's like 20 minutes later, and it's like, oh, okay, here it comes. And then, you know, it comes. And then, but she's like, why did it take us so long? Well, because it feels like it's going to, but then my whole body's like involved in it, and it's like almost tingly everywhere, and I don't know, it's like just euphoria everywhere, you know? And I think it's because I'm doing these practices. I'm doing keeping the hose and all that. It's something I've been practicing for a while, off and on. I also heard it from Birch, you know. He talked about these hardcore ways of putting your scrotum in like ice water after, which will help this happen. And I'm like, just the idea that freaks me out. But all these things will also enhance your magic. Now, not only by you having sex and pleasing her, and then, you know, you don't get yours all the time, but you know, if you have something to focus on it. But if not, you know, you're just sacrificing your pleasure just to please her. And then you don't release, but you build that up so that when it is your 1 or 2 times a week, or maybe it's once, or maybe it's 3 or 4 times a week, whatever it is that you are allowed to do. Whatever it is you're allowed to do. When you do release, it's going to be so much more intense, and you have so much more magical energy hitting whatever your focal point is, whether it's a sensual, whether it's just intention, whether it's just like me, I can literally just think, oh, great, what's that $3 grand in that moment, you know, and say to myself, give the money, visualizing it, how to do that. It's fucked up to say, I know, it's like, it's just me focusing on my partner, but it's like, no, she got hers like 3 times, and she's just waiting for me to be done. So whatever gets me in and out of her at that point, because it's so sensitive that she can barely stand it. But I mean, she'll keep eventually getting there where she can have another one. That's how women are, right? That's why they have this. That's why they have this. In my opinion, is why they have this clit orgasm for the guys that can't, you know, for when a guy first starts, he can't hold it back too well, right? It's like, oh my god, this feels so amazing. Gone. Oh my gosh, she's so up. Gone. You know, you gotta practice. Once you get that clit one, and then it gets warmed up, she has her orgasm there, and the weirdest one opens up. And if you can maintain a little bit longer, you hit that, boom, the next one opens up. So the women are made for us to be able to go long enough so that we can experience our orgasm as well. Is how I take it in, is how I'm understanding it. But all this is to say that on top of being able to put all that focused energy, whether it's one of those times where you're not going to release, but you're practicing on being able to pleasure your partner and holding it in, because even if you clench and you do that, it still feels good. Like it's an intense thing to be that close to that and stop it. Have that kind of control over your sex organ, which means you have control over the sexual fucking whatever you want to call it. Whether you want to call it one of those fucking meridian points that are in the microcosmic orbit, or you want to call it the fucking sexual chakra, doesn't matter. You have power over this now once you get this practice going. If anybody says otherwise, they're full of shit. I'm telling you right now, I have power over my sexual organ because of doing this practice. This is my main practice I do when I'm abstaining from sex. Now, when I abstain from sex, when the moon enters my sun sign, I don't always abstain from sex. I just abstain from release. I make sure I don't release on those days, no matter what. That happens 2.5 days a month, basically. You know what I mean? Whenever that happens. Sometimes if it's a long month, or you start at the beginning of the month, then it might happen towards the end of the month. Sorry, fucking cancer type, but talking about all this cock shit, whatever. It freaks me out. I'm not good with that shit. But the point is, oh yeah. Oh, didn't work today. Anyways, point is though, I make sure this is my sexual transmutation. And some people might say, okay, well, that's all fine and dandy, but how is that going to be beneficial? You're not really transmuting that energy. Yes. Here's what you do. If you don't come and you hold back, but you feel like you really need to release, and it's like bugging you, well then you should release. Okay, straight up. Now, what I do is if I pleasure my wife, and this is something I don't want to release because of, you know, what I'm trying to sexually practice and trying to strengthen this, I do meditations, I do some creative work, which can be this. I give it rid of a lot of creative energy when I speak these fucking videos. You have no idea how much of a creative process this is for me. Now, I come out here and just wing it. Yeah, absolutely. But there's creativity involved in it as well. It's not just, and it's part of my passion, which is connected to this fucking part of my body. It's connected to the sexual organ. This is my passion. So I'm able to do this and be satisfied by doing stuff like this that are connected to my passion, my purpose, my sexual creative chakra. You know what I mean? But for anybody out there who, you know, wants to try this, then you need to have a project, something that you are passionate about. And I mean passionate about. Because if you're not passionate about it, you're just doing it to try to not have sex, it ain't gonna work. But if you're doing it because you love to do it and you're so passionate about it, and you know, there's track of time, well, you might get so involved in it that, oh my god, it's like 10 o'clock, I promised my wife I'd sleep with her, and now she's asleep, and I'm gonna be in the fucking doghouse all fucking week now, you know, this sucks. That kind of shit happens, which happens to me often. I'll be so caught up editing my video after, putting in the right content after, finding the right video, then getting it prepared for my podcast and all this other shit, and making sure I add specific parts and talk about the right things and make the right correspondences and correlations and blah 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 blah. Sorry, I'm a little hyper right now. Hence the passion. Sorry, that was hence the passion. But I'm exhausted. when it's all said and done, when I finish this process, I'm exhausted. And if you're not exhausted after something that's your so-called passion, or your purpose, then you're not sexually transmuting shit. It still could be a passion and purpose, don't get me wrong. But you not be putting your all into it. But if you are done and you're exhausted, well, then it's just like you had sex. You put all that creative energy into it, and you're transmuting that sexual energy into passionate, artistic, or creative energy that will eventually manifest into something else, because you have sex and manifest into a baby or whatever else. But when you do your creative process, it can manifest into money. It can manifest into helping people out. Any kind of different energy exchange, doesn't matter, but it will manifest into something. Believe me that. Believe you that. But anyways, I don't know how much more I can say on this kind of topic. I said what I wanted to say. Now, the really important thing to understand is the fact that when you prolong your ejaculation and don't ejaculate as many times a week as you can, going by your age group. So if you're in your 20s, 4 times is okay. You're in your 30s. Look at it as like early 30s, somewhere like between 3 times a week. Late 30s would be like 2 times a week, and then 40s would be like 1 time a week. And I don't know if it goes to none. I don't know. I really need to get the book where it says this in, and I don't think it's his serpent book. It's by Mantak, and it's something Taoist serpents. Serpent's in the name of it, and it has to do with sexual and kundalini and some other stuff. But I remember seeing it. I don't remember exactly what the fucking scale was for what ages, and I really want to throw it up here, but I don't think I'll be able to. So if you really want to know this, you need to figure that out. A guideline is what he said, in your 30s, 2 times a week. But like I said, you're going to do it 3 times a week, you're going to do it 3 times a week. But your best bet, the reason why this is important is because, your sexual organ creates the human body. The human body has all of everything in it. It's the commander. It commands the cells. The organs command the cells to reproduce and all that. The stem cells are what we can use to beat cancers, really intense cancers like leukemia and shit sometimes, do bone marrow transfer or a stem cell transfer and all that. Sometimes they get cancer that way. Well, this is the part, this sexual organ, if you take control of that, you do this properly, when every time you make love, if you're only, you as a male, I'm not talking to females, talking to males, you as a male, if you as a male only ejaculate twice a week, and the other times you get close to ejaculation, but you don't, you're going to make yourself healthier, you're going to have more energy, you're going to promote healings, okay? Because this is going to tell them to keep splitting and doing their thing. But overstimulation, doing it too much, you're going to deplete yourself. You kind of heard what he said. So, but this is the whole reason I played, because it's an add-on. Because I've talked about the water, I've talked about the breathing, I've talked about the eating, I've talked about the exercise, I've talked about spiritual stuff, I talked about a bunch of different things, and then the passion and the sex and all that I haven't really touched on. Besides the fact to say, you don't want to do it so much that you deplete yourself, you don't want to do it too little that you're blocked up and you get cranky. That's all I basically said about that, right? It's connected to your creativity and your passion. Well, this is how. This is why it's even more important, because when you have sex, you tell your body, or when you ejaculate, you tell your body to create new cells. Now, if you ejaculate and it's only within minutes or seconds, then you are not telling your cells to split, and this is why disease can be caused. If you ejaculate too many times, then bad things can happen as well. If you don't ejaculate at all, bad things can happen as well, unless you do this properly. So, anyways, all that is all I wanted to say and add to this, and now I can move on to some more in-depth healing magic shit. So, I'm supposed to play the other guy talking about something else, and I'm going to listen to it right now. So I'll just on my way home. There's really anything worth putting in there, but otherwise, this will be the end of the video. So I hope you enjoyed, and as always, have yourself a great fucking day. Peace!
Alright, so for anybody who stayed to the video to the end, I'm going to put a bunch of PDFs on here from Mantak Chia, and potentially qi-gong and kunji, and again, if I can find it. I'm definitely going to put a sexual love secrets, or I forget the name of it, the serpent one, if I can find it, a bunch of them. I already have the one for the sexual love secret thing. I can't remember the actual name of the title, but something to that effect, which has a lot of good information in it, and a lot of stuff he's talking about. So those PDFs will be in the description if you haven't already checked it out and noticed. So for anybody who's actually listened to this to the end, whether it's on my podcast or my video, the links for that will, you click on these links and it should automatically bring up the PDFs. And for some reason it's just not supported by whatever you're using, well, let me know and I'll see if I can remedy that somehow. But PDF drive or archive.org, I think, is another good one. Or anyways, there's many good books. You can even there's this like Facebook, I think it might be, I don't know what it is, vk.com is one that I've used. So, but anyways, I'm gonna put a bunch of Mantak Chia PDFs. The first few are definitely going to be ones that I think have the most to do with either sex or the microcosmic orbit is what I'm going to be aiming for mostly in this. So if you stick it to the end of this video, thank you. If you're one of my subscribers, I really do appreciate it. I'm grateful for you. Thank you. You're one of the reasons I put PDFs on there for my people who subscribe. But even those who don't subscribe, that's fine. I appreciate you still checking out and viewing the video. And yeah, thanks. I can't thank you enough, but I really do appreciate it. It makes my day every time I get more subscribers or likes or comments or any of that shit. Anytime there's some interactive shit going on where I'm just not just talking to the world. I love making these videos, and I love talking, and I love trying to help and teach, share what's helped me. I really do. But whenever I get feedback back, it's great, Whether it's feedback as a way of subscribing, whether it's feedback of, wow, I got a lot of views on this video, or hey, someone actually liked it, or I got a comment or a question, or any of that. I love it. It's all really appreciated. So thank you. And anytime you comment, even if you don't want to leave it there, you can write that in the comment. Okay, if you don't want to actually expose your comment or say your name, just specify that, and I won't. But I do like making videos about things that people ask me, because I'm under the impression if someone's asking me, there might be other people that are thinking or curious about those things. Therefore, I'm going to bring it up. Kind of like the curse thing, right? I can go in many different ways on how to get rid of a curse. Now, the ones I gave you are the most simplest ones. There are way more advanced ways. Reject, banish, deny will also work. Anytime you get a thought about being cursed, just rejecting that thought can go a long fucking way, and accepting that you are free from curses. And that's how you should say it. Would also go a long way. But anyways, anytime you want me to talk about something, comment, and I'll do it. I'll do my best to do it, Anyways, once again, I appreciate it. Check the links in the description for all the PDFs. Now, some of them may be able to read to you, some of them may not. That's just the getting free PDFs. You don't always get the ones that will read to you. That's within your application you use, whether it's an iPhone, an iBook. Some of them will work, some of them won't, but you'll at least have the books to refer to. You want to look something up, if it's in any kind of application, you could look up, look in paid contents, what things are talking about, sexual energy, how to, abstain, how to stop ejaculation, anything. You put in the search and it'll find it in the book. So you can always use it that way if you don't seem to have time, you want to search something fast, But this man, Mantak Chia, has got many videos on YouTube that are very beneficial, once you can get past maybe a language barrier issues or having trouble understanding them. I find these easy to understand, but when I first started looking into them, it was very hard for me to sit down and watch a full-length video at first, until I realized how important it was to learn what he's teaching. Then I stuck through it, and now I don't have an issue. I can learn from him, no problem. Sometimes the book is easier to learn from because it was fixed in a way that you can understand it better. What's written in the book is his words, but put into English that is not, not like from a secondary or third language perspective, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But anyways, once again, if you stuck it out to the end of this video, it's like 70-some minutes long, probably 80 minutes long now, which is like an hour and 20. Thank you. And check out the links in the description. Anyways, happy fucking, or jerking, whatever you choose, but use that power. use that power not only to manifest your magic, but also to keep you younger. Do the things he talked about here, and consider the whole, maybe not eating cows, just doing the chicken and fish thing as much as you can, or smaller animals. Anyways, have a great one.